Consider something strange. What we refuse to release does not simply remain. It follows us into quiet moments and sits beside us like an uninvited ghost. We hold old grief, old shame, old stories about who we were, as though the soul were a storage room instead of a river. But life does not ask permission to move. It moves in tides, in breath, in seasons. And still we cling. We call it loyalty. We call it wisdom. We call it love. But sometimes it is only fear with a noble name. There are things that can only bless you for a season. And then, their time is over. Welcome back, my fellow strangers, to another episode of Traversing the Strange World. And I'm your host, Isaiah Danbury. And this is another installment of Monday Mornings with Peace. Today we are going to be talking about letting go. There is a time to gather stones and a time to cast away stones. The last few Monday Mornings with Peace, I've been attempting to tell a story about someone becoming, rather that be a creator, a business owner, a better version of yourself. Back on the lonely road of becoming is where it started. Sometimes first, you have to walk away. And then we did the episode about making space. After we let go, we do have to make space and determine what matters. And then we did the What You Neglect episode, meaning in the mess. That is about beginning the task of not avoiding. As we move along our journey, letting go is part of the process. Determining what to let go of and what to hold on to. And one of the first parts that makes it so complicated is a lot of us think that letting go means pretending it didn't matter. As if it was a kind of betrayal. As if moving on means minimizing the beauty or the pain or the importance of what was. But I don't think that's really what letting go is. Letting go is not denial, and it's not amnesia. Letting go is the moment you stop asking a dead thing to keep giving you life. It's when you stop returning to the same wound and call it wisdom. And that's the hard part, because the familiar can feel almost sacred, even when it's hurting you. Even when it's keeping you bound to a version of yourself. Now, it was built for survival, but not for freedom. Some people hold on to old pain because at least the pain is familiar. Some people hold on to resentment because it makes them feel protected. Sometimes we hold on to the older relationships, old shame, old roles. Not because those things are still alive, but because without them, we're not quite sure yet who we are. And that makes letting go feel so strange. You're not only losing the thing, you are losing the self that was organized around the thing. And that's why letting go can feel like death, a quiet death. But life does change. It always has. It is a constant in this universe. Maybe maturity is not found in controlling that. Maybe maturity is found in learning how to bow with it without losing your center. Because sometimes the thing that needs to leave your life is not a person. Sometimes it's a story, a grievance, or a false identity. And if you never loosen the grip, you never free your hands for what's trying to arrive next. It's in the space that you've been creating. And obviously there's a place in this discussion about letting go in terms of people. Sometimes that's actually one of the biggest, hardest parts of it. Because in that, it's another human being that we had some sort of connection with and memories with. I think it's important to ask, what is the fruit? Is the fruit of their relationship with you, does it point towards them sharing the same goal to aim upward? Or are they a source of conflict for your aim, for what you're striving towards? Are they friends who want the best for you? Or are they doubting or invalidating who you're becoming, the way that you have decided to be? Perhaps they know only how to relate to you, the version of you that was more confused, more easily pulled off center. And when you begin to change, when you clear your mind and get more disciplined and more honest, does something change? Maybe your boundaries are simply shedding a light on their entitlement. Perhaps your growth confronts their stagnation. Perhaps they reinforce a version of you that you want to let go of. If you're taking the proper steps in trying to live a more disciplined, intentional life, what you deserve is a community of camaraderie, because it is important. The commonalities that we found our relationships around, and that relationship might be more grounded in a version of yourself that is shedding its skin while something new emerges. So perhaps it is an image of yourself you've been dragging around for years. The version that says, this is just how I am. Fill in the blank. I'm the anxious one. I'm the angry one. I'm the hard ass. After a while, we can believe that those identities are foundational, but they are not foundational. Played by somebody else long ago, before you were aware or awake enough to realize the foundation that was being laid in you internally. And maybe it's been trapping you ever since. There's this old way that is probably an old wives' tale in regards to how hunters used to catch monkeys. It is said that they would hollow out a small opening in a trap and place fruit inside. And then the monkey would come along and reach in and grab hold of the fruit. Once its fist closed, it can't pull its hand back out. And the strange part is, the trap is not stronger than the monkey. The monkey is not overpowered. It is held there by its own refusal to let go. And I think sometimes we can be that little monkey, clinched so tightly to something that that's the only thing that's trapping us. All we gotta do is unclench the hand. Sometimes we're so focused onto what we're holding on to, what we're clenching onto, we don't realize hunter approaching us. And the hunter could be that archetypal chaos that abruptly emerges all throughout our lives. Are you telling yourself that you're trapped and that you can't move? Because sometimes the cage is open and freedom is near. Sometimes what is keeping us bound is the thing that we refuse to release. Letting go can feel like losing something valuable. Let us let go of that which distracts us from chaos emerging. The people that distract us from that, from the emerging chaos, and our aim that will maybe not help us avoid the chaos, but live above it. Psychology has found something humbling. The mind does not free itself by force. Push a thought or feeling down hard enough, and it often returns with more pressure. By contrast, acceptance tends to support better recovery than suppression. Self-distancing helps people reflect without drowning in rumination. And healthier narrative identity often involves finding some redemptive meaning in suffering, rather than letting suffering become the whole story. Because letting go is not just losing something. It is to admit that a chapter is ended. And the human heart does not always like endings. It would rather reread the same page until the ink wears thin. It would rather grip the corner of the chapter and refuse to turn it, even when the story has already moved on. But we suffer when we refuse to turn the page and when we confuse a chapter for the entire story. We suffer when we take one wound, one betrayal, one grief, one season of shame, and let it become the title of our entire life. So we keep reading the same lines, rehearsing the same pain, returning to the same scene, as though understanding it one more time will somehow give us a different ending. But healing does not always come by rereading. Sometimes healing begins when the hand opens. Because when the hand opens, the page can turn. When the page turns, a new part of the story is finally allowed to speak. That does not mean the earlier chapter did not matter. It mattered deeply. It formed you. It marked the tone of the story for a while, but it was never meant to imprison the entire plot. The hero's journey is not the story of a man who never suffers. It's the story of a man who refuses to build his house in one dark chapter. He descends, he loses, he meets the wound, the shadow, the rupture in the story. He opens his hand, and in that opening, the book opens too. A new chapter, a new page, a new language for the self. Not because the old pain vanishes, but because it no longer gets the final word. Maybe that is what letting go really is. Not erasing the chapter, but refusing to live as though that chapter was the entire book. Refusing to let one loss narrate the whole meaning of your life. Refusing to let one season become the entirety of the year. Because the soul was not made to be trapped in a single paragraph of sorrow. It was made to keep unfolding. And maybe that is the invitation now. To stop clutching the page that hurt you. To stop worshiping the chapter that broke you. And to trust that when the hand opens, the story does too. The next chapter does. There is more to be written, more to be lived, more to become. The next grace does not arrive until you loosen your grip on the previous chapter. All right, my fellow stranger, I think that's where I'm going to end this installment of Monday Mornings with Peace. I pray that whatever you're struggling to let go of, rather that be vice, a person, an internal narrative, I pray you have the confidence and strength and belief in yourself and the story that's unfolding in your life to do the work that needs to be done, which sometimes involves letting go so that a new chapter can open up. And if anybody's struggling and would like somebody to talk to about this, feel free to reach out to me on social media. Isaiah Danbury on Facebook has a nice picture of me in the gym flexing. You can also find me on Instagram at _amazing_Isaiah. I made that name when I was like 15, 16, so give me a break. If you're listening on Spotify, like and save. If you're listening on YouTube, like and subscribe. And it would mean the world to me if you'd share this with a friend. Alright, until next time, let's keep traversing this strange world. Let's always be inquisitive. Let's always be introspective. Let's remember to be neighborly to folks. Because we're just kind of thrown into this life thing. And at the end of the day, we're all just strangers in a strange land. Until next time, peace.